So in the next 20 minutes, Harriet and I are going to explain the global infrastructure that you tap into when you rent through Loop and how that relates to shipping works to and from Art Basel specifically, because we're focusing on Art Basel during this webinar. We're also going to demonstrate how you can save money by renting ROKBOX through Loop. And we're going to explain how ROKBOX Loop reduces your carbon footprint when you're shipping works to and from the fair. Lastly, we'll equip you with some info so you know which ROKBOX crates suit your artworks best, so placing an order is really simple for you. And just to repeat myself for the benefit of those that have just logged on, if you have any questions, drop them in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen, and we're going to leave some time at the end of the webinar to handle those questions. Thank you. So to kick us off, we're going to show a little video now. It's just a couple of minutes long, and it's about ROKBOX and ROKBOX Loop.
I'm Andy Renton, and I'm the founder of ROKBOX. I started ROKBOX because I was working in the artwork for auction houses and galleries and building museums, which was really fun. But I realised that whenever we did an art fair or an exhibition or anything really, there was an enormous pile of rubbish whenever we finished, which was at odds with the sophistication of the artwork. And artworks, they're incredibly important. And so if you lose an artwork because it rained at an airport or because someone put the wrong size screens in the box, it's kind of sad and upsetting and unbelievably expensive. So massive pile of rubbish, and then occasionally not working with cataclysmic results, decided that we could solve that with new products and new ways of working. It's incumbent upon all of us as businesses around the world to change into circular economies. The art world, precisely because it's fractured and global, means that there is both an inherent difficulty in introducing technology, but also enormous benefit to it. So the ROKBOX Loop was designed as being a sharing circular economy for the art. We have the technology which is reasonable packaging, we have the services companies who are willing to deliver it in across all these different cities and all these different continents. And so the circular economy, it can be established, it has been established, and it works. ROKBOX is a series of reusable crates for paintings that are designed in collaboration with the insurance industry and with art conservators and technicians and industrial designers, and they utilise modern materials to make paintings and products better. People have come together to distribute reusable packaging, ROKBOXes, in 10 major art cities across the globe, so that the end customer, if be a collector or a museum or whoever it is, you get the benefits of single-use packaging where they want them, when they need them, without having to deal with the other side of it, which is the storing of boxes or the destruction of boxes. And so, yeah, days of throwing things away are over. And ROKBOX Loop is doing that for the art world.
I hope you enjoyed that video there, just a brief glimpse into ROKBOX. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail now just to explain exactly how ROKBOX Loop works. ROKBOX Loop is a collaborative program where you can pick up and drop off reusable crates from all around the world. You only use the case when you actually need it. So no need to ship an empty crate because you drop the cases back to your nearest hub. It solves that one-way problem. Currently, we cover 11 cities internationally. It's available in London, Paris, Germany, Basel and Zurich in Europe, and then New York, Miami, Los Angeles, San Fran, Chicago in the US, Hong Kong and Singapore in Asia. And we have more planned for the future. We work with 4 major shipping partners who store our cases, and this includes Hass & Co, Detour, Gander & White and Helitrans. But it is open to all shippers. Any shipper can pick up the case and use the boxes at the same rates and same terms as our partners. In fact, any gallery, any collector, anyone can come to us directly to pick up a case. Our other supporters include the GCC, the Gallery Climate Coalition, due to our sustainable credentials, which we'll talk about a bit later, and also AXA because of our safety records. How to make this relevant for Art Basel? So you have an artwork, say in New York, your traditional shipper can pick up a ROKBOX, ship your artwork securely to Basel, where Hass & Co, for example, can store that case for you. Alternatively, Hass & Co can add it back into their collection of cases for another client to hire. So again, you're only really using it when you need it. That's like a little overview of ROKBOX Loop. There's lots more information on our website, and we'll be sending you some more stuff afterwards. But now I'm going to hand you over to Verity, who's going to talk a little bit more about how you can also save money by using ROKBOX Loop.
Thanks, Harriet. So ROKBOX Loop, you can rent ROKBOX crates for a week, a month, or 3 monthly periods. So how that works with regards to Art Basel, if you are picking up works from a consignor in Switzerland and taking them directly to the fair, maybe you can get away with renting a crate for as little as 1 week. So it's worth bearing it in mind if that scenario does crop up. Our Swiss weekly rental rates start from 380 Swiss francs, and they are flat fees. So even if it's a last minute booking, you get charged the same rate. Do bear that in mind for all our rental rates and periods, that you can access a crate at a moment's notice without having to pay a premium rate. It's always a flat fee, no matter how late in the day you discover that an artwork needs a crate. Looking at who's attending this call, I'm assuming that a lot of you are actually going to be moving works into Basel from outside Switzerland. So you're probably looking at more than a week's rental, and possibly the minimum time you can get away with is going to be a month to facilitate the time required to ship the artwork into the fair. Don't worry about making a note of these figures now, as we're going to send you this information after the webinar, and it's also available on our website. But to give you a flavour, if you book from the UK, 1 month's rental starts from £360 for light, that's these crates here, and £600 for original, that's this one here. If you are shipping from the US, $480 for light or $720 for original. We also have rates for rentals originating from mainland Europe, Singapore and Hong Kong, which we'll also send to you, so you have everything in one place. Both light and original come equipped with hardware systems. Combi clamps in original, as you can see here, and straps in light, that you can see here, that enable you to pack multiple works within, not just single works. So do bear this in mind, that you may be able to create multiple artworks with a single crate. An important point worth making is that these are really good quality crates. So if you're moving works of high value or fragility, Loop gives you access to crates that outperform traditional wooden museum spec crates, usually for a fraction of the price, as you're only paying for it for the time you actually need to use it. And importantly, you're also not paying to have it disposed of when you don't need it anymore. So with that in mind, we're confident that those monthly rental rates are really good value. However, you might be thinking, what happens if you need it for longer during or after the fair? Don't panic, simply message us to extend the booking period. We'll give you the most cost-effective solution every time. Or what happens if, for example, the London gallery send over the work and after Basel, it needs to be shipped to the New York gallery? Simple. Again, we can extend or amend the booking as need be. And perhaps it was originally shipped over from London in a car pack on a truck and didn't even have a crate. And now it needs a crate for the onward shipment to New York. Simple. Book a Loop crate for the Basel New York shipment direct through us or through Hass & Co, or ask your preferred shipper to make that booking for you. So lots of options, lots of flexibility. Something to bear in mind, and this is particularly relevant to some of the people on the call, GCC active members you actually get a special discount, which is a whopping 50% off your first ROKBOX Loop rental. Let us know when you're booking or when your shipper is booking on your behalf if you have GCC active status. And now I'm going to hand you back to Harriet to explain how Loop reduces CO2 emissions.
Okay, so sustainability. Looking at Art Basel, art fairs in general, we know how wasteful they can be, despite a lot of their best efforts. It's a lot of people coming together. There's a lot of opportunity for things to be made, things to be thrown away, lots of skips, lots of piles of waste. We know all the number of wooden cases that are made, and card wraps, and single-use plastics and foams that's so beautifully cut out for all those gallery and museum places. But a huge number of them do end up in landfill. That sort of kind of make, use, destroy model is incredibly convenient. Single-use packing is convenient. We know that. Wood is flexible and cardboard is very cheap. Foams are readily available. And everyone else is kind of doing the same behavior. But we do need to change that behavior. We're starting to see in a lot of other things. So a lot of you already are probably making quite dramatic changes in the way you do things. You might be cutting down your air travel, using sea freight to ship, or even judging which art fairs are the most important to attend. Single-use packaging is also something that needs to be assessed. It's already being taxed and banned in multiple countries around the world. I mean, if you think of the 5p now on plastic bags, I think it's more than that actually, that the amount of money you have to pay for a plastic bag, you can't actually use single-use cutlery anymore, and plastic straws have been banned. These are small things, but it's the way things are moving. It's the way legislation is changing. So companies really do need to be on the front foot to adopt the sustainable habits before they're actually forced to. So that's a bit about single-use packaging and reuse. But there's also another part to this, which is within like your carbon footprint, is weight is also a factor. So the majority of your carbon spend when shipping is actually down to the weight of the object. With air freight specifically, the amount of fuel being used depends on the weight of what is being transported. Rock boxes reduce carbon also because they're light. Not only are you reusing it lots of times, but you're also using something that's lighter. A traditional wooden museum case can weigh as much as 120 kilos for the same size ROKBOX Light that weighs just 12 kilograms. By stripping out that weight and not compromising on security, the carbon on the shipment can be reduced by as much as 90%. But what I find really interesting about all this is that carbon is just a small part of what your overall impact can look like. We know about counting our carbon footprint, but actually there's a raft of other categories that we'll need to measure in the future. And academics have started to highlight some of the key areas that we need to focus on that make a bad environmental impact. Things like toxicity or ozone depletion, carcinogenics, and acidification. These elements will sit alongside CO2 when we start doing a full analysis of our true impact on the environment, and these will need to be counted. Single-use packaging is significantly worse in all those areas. Reuse is key. Reusing wise products that have been recycled or are recyclable is also going to be key. So that's kind of a way that ROKBOX Loop can really help reduce your impact, and some of the things that you probably need to be thinking about in the future. Verity's now going to go into what crates are available through Loop.
Thanks, Harriet. You have some samples behind me. Essentially, we have 4 sizes of crate available through Loop. ROKBOX Light, which is this crate here, is available in 2 sizes, both of which can fly lower deck. It comes with the strapping as standard, and it also comes with wooden pallet feet as standard. ROKBOX Original is available in 2 sizes, of which this is the smallest. This one can fly lower deck. The larger one does have to fly upper deck. Original is really, really robust, and it comes with the combi clamps as standard. ROKBOX Light, what I neglected to tell you is that the clue is in the title, and it really is amazingly light. So if your technicians have a ton of artworks to install, they might actually welcome the chance to not be lugging around something too heavy during the fair. You actually have a third option as well as those 4 crates. You can put a light inside an original, and that's what we call a nest. So bear that in mind if you have a particularly cautious consigner or a real blue chip work, which you want that extra level of protection on. We do appreciate that technical familiarity with ROKBOX is really important for peace of mind. Both light and original and all the hardware that goes with it are safe, quick, and efficient to use. In fact, all of it was designed precisely with the stress and pressure of installing and deinstalling at things like art fairs in mind. If you and your colleagues haven't had a demo yet on how to use the crates, we can do this with you. Please email us to book a one-on-one online session, or maybe we can even get a demo crate to you for you to have a play with before your Basel shipment takes place. You can also watch videos on our YouTube channel that explain how to use the crates and internal hardware fixing systems, all of which are really simple. Plus, we also have very comprehensive product guidelines on our website, which explain everything from start to finish. It's also worth bearing in mind that Has & Co are total experts on ROKBOX, as are many of the shippers who are going to be taking you to the fair. So even if you're not packing or unpacking yourself, the service providers which you are likely to rely on do know ROKBOX inside out. I'm not going to go into tons of details now on how to use something like a combi clamp, because it is available on other videos and things, but please do get in contact if you'd like to go through any of that, however nitty gritty. We love those questions. The pricing and rental PDF that I'm going to send to you after the webinar does include max artwork DIMs for each style and size of crate available through Loop. They're also detailed in the comprehensive Loop product guidelines, which are on the Loop website. But if you're looking at an art fair list and you just want some help figuring out really simply what works, fit within which type of ROKBOX crate, please get in touch. We are really happy to help. It's not rocket science by any stretch of the imagination, but anything we can do to help and make your life a bit easier, we want to be doing.
Okay, great. I think that's all from us for now, but we have had some questions that come in, which I'm just filtering through now. First one to you, Verity, I think. Can I use Loop for art fair dispersals?
Yes, absolutely. So you might have taken an artwork to the fair on a truck and it might not have even had a crate, and it might now be moving somewhere where it needs a crate, or maybe it was in a multi-pack crate before and it just needs to move off by itself. So Loop is the perfect solution for that. Even better because you don't have to wait for a Swiss crating workshop to make your crate. It's literally ready immediately after the fair through Has & Co, because they have an inventory of ROKBOX Loop crates ready to roll. So you ship the artwork, you rent the crate, either you book it yourself, you book it directly with us or through the agent of your choice, or through the Loop agent, which could be Has & Co in this instance, and then ship it off to where it needs to go. And then, as Harriet explained, that empty crate just needs to be returned to wherever the nearest Loop hub is. So if, for example, you were sending the artwork to a collector in New York, it couldn't be more simple, because, Harriet, correct me, I think we've got 3 hub locations in New York.
Yeah,
now.
we've got 3. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I can't even keep track. I hope that answered the question.
I think that's wonderful. Thank you. Next one we have is, I have a shipper in the UK who says they don't have access to Loop. How do I get them using it? This is something that we've been working with a lot of shippers with. Obviously, we have our partner shippers, but we also have a bunch of other shippers who we have very good relationships with, who are very happy to use Loop, but they don't store them in their warehouse. What I would say to any shipper who hasn't used us before, come and have a chat with us. Let us, come and have a play with the product. I think everyone's seen the product by now. It's much more a matter of come and have, a conversation. We'll explain how Loop works. and then we can really get them comfortable with the process. So all I would say is that every shipper has access. They have it at the same rates, the same terms. They can come to us. We can book in a case for them and explain how the whole process works. It's very simple. So no shippers have any excuses, is all I'm saying. Anyway, I hope that answers that question. And then I think we've got time for one more. Verity, how about this one? Will ROKBOX Loop increase the cost of air freight, as I won't be able to get a case exactly the size of the artwork? And won't this also increase the CO2? Do you want to have a go at that one?
Okay, how about I talk about cost and you talk about CO2? Yes, if the ROKBOX Loop crate is even so much as this much bigger than the wooden crate you could have made, the air freight cost might be a bit different. And because freight can be expensive, that bit difference could be, a few pounds, whatever, Swiss francs. I would encourage you to consider what the cost of the rental is versus having a wooden crate made, and also the cost of disposing of that wooden crate at the end of the day. There will be artworks which it doesn't make sense to put in a ROKBOX, or it's just not possible to, because we don't have ROKBOX at the moment big enough, particularly for every contemporary artwork out there. But we did work really hard to design our crates in such a way that they make sense. They relate to air freight capacity, different height thresholds, etc. But they also capture the most common artwork sizes on the market. Obviously, that's a bit like, finger in the air, but we're confident that the vast majority of artworks can be accommodated by ROKBOX Loop crates. So when it comes to freight, you shouldn't be losing out much, if at all. I hope that answered the question.
I think it is a tricky one, because obviously we have the standardized sizing, but the CO2 is an easier answer, because as I said before, we've lightweighted the cases. So the cases are lighter than your traditional, museum cases specifically. Also, a lot of your gallery cases, they're going to be lighter. So what that means is that your CO2 will be lower. So you may take up a little bit more room, but because the weight is less overall, the CO2 will be lower. So there is that advantage. But, as Verity said, there's going to be some artworks that, that are tiny weeny, and so it doesn't make sense to send in a larger crate, or they're enormous and we can't fit them in. So, wood is very flexible and very usable for those sort of more awkward shaped ones. But I would say specifically from a CO2, we will win in, the 90% of cases we are lighter. Therefore, there will be less of a CO2 impact overall.
Right.
I think we've kind of run out of time now, haven't we? So any other questions I can answer quickly on the Q&A. So do keep shooting them through, or you can also email us. There's emails on the website, but also Verity's going to send a follow-up email afterwards, so you'll have her details. So that's everything from us. Yeah, and anything you want to add, Verity, before we go?
We love questions, and we're very happy to help. So any question you've got, you just want to sort of brainstorm with us about how it might work, please do get in contact. The more we speak to our customers, the more we learn how to expand the service as well, because let's face it, ROKBOX Loop is already up and running. It's being used by a lot of auction houses and some galleries and even some museums already, but it's going to expand. It's going to keep growing. So if you're using it already and you have feedback based upon that, great. If you weren't able to use it for whatever reason, let us know that feedback as well, because we are developing the service to meet your needs.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for attending, everyone. Have a wonderful Art Basel, and we'll be in touch soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.